I mean, when you came here, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but you had Matty Ryan and David Button ahead of you, but there's also Sanchez and Christian Walton to deal with, so...
Yeah, listen, I wasn't even focused on too far ahead of the picture when I joined here. I spoke to Ben a lot during the summer. He actually wanted to bring me the year before when Brighton got promoted, but for whatever reason, like I'll tell you, like my wife was pregnant, and from the area, I wanted to stay in the northeast. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? But I think when I spoke to Ben, it was sort of, listen, I know how good you are. Come here, I'll look after you. Let's get you back enjoying your football. And that's what happened. I had great people like Glenn in the change rooms. We had a great change room, didn't we? Who like, listen, he would give me stick every day, wouldn't you? But at the same time, you knew what I needed and you knew how to look after me. Because it was painful being from up there, understanding how much that club means to everyone up there, to then be tarnished with a brush of that, it was painful, it was tough.
Glenn, when you saw Jason for the first time, did you realise how good he is? You obviously saw a guy at a low ebb, but did you realise what a goalkeeper he really was underneath it?
Probably not. It was more about the person at that point, about him like integrating into the group and being a good lad, and everyone warmed to him right away, without doubt. And I think he'll tell you as well, as far as on the field, that was probably not the worst, because he was never bad, but that was at his lowest point. And from that stage, he's only got better and better. But I think more than anything is he's regained his own confidence, and I'm sure you can clarify that, Jason. That like you would doubt yourself, like a lot of people do, but now we see a goalkeeper that plays regular, that doesn't doubt himself, that stands on the ball, that has unbelievable confidence when you've got a defence on rushing, sorry, not a defence splitting and an attack on rushing and holding your nerve. I personally don't think you would have been able to do that. Not that you weren't capable of doing that. I don't think you'd have been able to do it when you first signed for the club.
Yeah, for sure. I would never have had the courage to do it. Never. But like that first year, I remember, I think I played a game in the checker trade for the under-21s against Luton. And I must have had one of the best games I've ever had, I think. And I was like, you still got it? And that's how I remember coming off. And then month by month, and then it was almost like, right, I feel like I'm at the level.
But I think you had a group that would reiterate that to you, wouldn't we?
And like people like Glenn, you've got Dale Stevens, Shane, Donkey, and like the amount of times they used to tell me, you are good enough to play here. And there was always still something, he's talking 4 or 5 years ago now, where it's like, am I really though? Because of what you've been through. And then eventually, like, the more your confidence builds, it's like, yeah, I belong at this level.
But you had to wait, didn't you? I mean, you made your debut in you made your debut in January 2019. And then I think you had to wait 20 months for your next game, didn't you?
Yeah.
So how did you keep yourself going during that period of waiting and watching?
I think I just knew, because there was times where, I know damn well I spoke to you about it, where there was opportunities for me to go on loan and things like that, wasn't there?
Trying to talk him out, not going on loan.
That's what I mean, and I was like, I really want to play football. I was at the stage where I was ready to play again, because it took time. The healing process took time.
But we're not talking about clubs at the same stature as this football club.
No.
He was talking about dropping down to like League One. And,
no, it was more Championship.
But we were like, well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Just bide your time.
Just wait, just keep training. And then I actually remember speaking to my dad, and he was like, why are you not going to go and play footy? You're ready to go and play. And then something clicked in me. He was like, I want to play here. It was weird. And yeah, I just kept on believing that I would get a chance.
I'm really curious, and I know the fans are curious about how your game has developed as well, because some of us are old enough to remember the time when the goalkeeper's job was keeping the ball out of the net.
Yeah.
But you have the best distribution rate, the best passing ratio from your goal area of any goalkeeper in the Premier League. And I wanted to ask you about that process, because it's one thing to get the ball at your feet and see a guy left or right that's a potential recipient of your pass, but you've also got the attacking player on rushing, pressing the player that you're looking to pass to, and you've got to time that ball incredibly well, haven't you? And you do it more often than not. So how have you learned that skill?
Well, I've always been all right. He'll tell you that. When I first came, that was one thing. I was all right with the ball, wasn't I?
I mean, we
naturally,
right.
Naturally, yeah.
We used to play like passing drills, didn't we? And Graham would often bring him in, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
And I always found as a forward, my get out was to press the goalkeeper. If there was a goalkeeper in a possession, then you press the goalkeeper, and 9 times out of 10, you'd win the ball back, or he would make a bad pass that would lead to a catalyst of mistakes that you would get the ball back. I soon learned with Jason that pressing wasn't really an option, so I stopped.
Yeah. But I think a lot of studying. I've done a lot of studying, a lot of coursework, watching different goalkeepers, watching the boss's old goalkeepers. As soon as he came here, I went straight upstairs and I got clips from Trubin, who was at Shakhtar Donetsk, and I watched him for hours. Not to copy off him, just to understand what he was seeing and what he was expected to try and achieve.
And you do that off your own back?
Yeah, because I presume the majority of us didn't really know a lot about the boss. So I watched a lot of Sassuolo and build up. I went straight up to Jack Stern and got Trubin, a lot of his clips from the Champions League, playing against Real Madrid because I knew they would press. Watched him for hours. So I sort of had a little basis of what was going to be expected and demanded, more demanded than expected, to be honest.